Hi, I'm Rachel Senes with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the news magazine that takes you inside the city's most important issues, projects, and events. Today we are coming to you from inside City Hall, and as many city employees know, putting up this Christmas tree here is an annual tradition. Later on the show, I'll tell you how using lights like these can help save money on your electricity bill. But first, our top story. This year, Santa Barbara County was struck by the second largest wildland fire in California history, also known as the Zaca Fire. But before that, there were many other fires like Sycamore Canyon and Painted Cave. It's hard to get a good perspective of the paths of past fires, so we took a tour of local burned areas from an airplane. And what we learned from the air put into perspective life on the ground. This summer, the Zaca Fire burned over 240,000 acres as it swept through the Los Padres National Forest. In 1977, the Sycamore Canyon Fire burned 805 acres and destroyed 195 homes. In 1990, the Painted Cave Fire burned 4,900 acres, destroyed 479 homes, and killed one person. By going back in history, we learn that Santa Barbara is not immune to disasters like wildfires. But simply flipping the pages of a history book may not be enough to get a good grasp of how we are at risk for wildfires. We're about to take a flight over the South County to get a good perspective on local fire conditions and concerns, and to get a closer look at the paths of past fires, including the perimeter of the Zaca Fire.
Fire Patrol 21, runway 15 right, clear for takeoff.
Lifting off from Atlantic Aviation at the Santa Barbara Municipal Airport, we start our tour of the burned areas with help from Santa Barbara County Fire Department's Eli Iskow. Our first visit is to an area about 2 miles northeast of Lompoc.
Right below the wing now, that's Sabata Canyon.
The concern here in Sabata Canyon, there's only one road in and one road out.
There's about a little less than 100 homes, and the issue here is if a fire would start, they'd be hard put to get out in a hurry.
Leaving Sabata, we fly northeast to another isolated canyon community called Tepesque Canyon near Santa Maria. Like Sabata, this area only has one way in and one way out.
The threat is a wind-driven, a fuels-driven, or a terrain-driven fire. We're not going to be there in time for a serious fire. There's just no way. So these people in particular, not much different than Mission Canyon on the front country, have to be as prepared as they can be because they may be on their own for a while.
Our third visit on the Wildland Fire Tour to the southeast to Cuyama Peak, an area affected by a wildfire in 2006.
We've got the town of Cuyama. We're also over the Perkins Scar fire that came up from the Cuyama Valley.
Fortunately, the Perkins fire burned south through Chaparral, away from that small town of New Cuyama. From the air, we noticed the dark areas that have burned, but we also saw new growth.
A lot of it was a very healthy, what we call mosaic burn. Leaving some of the green allows the vegetation to grow back much more effectively. It also helps the wildlife that's there find points of refuge and some food sources still.
Heading southwest, we see Gibraltar Dam, which was affected by the recent Zaca Fire as well.
The area here, all this watershed here drains that way. That could silt out Lake Cachuma if we get a heavy runoff. And Gibraltar certainly also could silt up pretty good.
The City of Santa Barbara's water system manager, Kathy Taylor, says that siltation, debris flow, and water quality have all been a concern after the Zaca Fire.
Well, Gibraltar has a watershed of approximately 220 square miles. And with the Zaca Fire, it is estimated 119 square miles, or 60% of the watershed, was burned. And with that, any significant rainfalls will increase siltation and debris flows that will enter into Gibraltar, thus impacting the storage capacity and the water quality.
According to Taylor, Gibraltar is a siltation basin and eventually will silt up. Fortunately, the city has long-term strategies to address that. So we've seen what Gibraltar Reservoir looks like from the air, and here's a closer look from this boat. Fortunately, Mother Nature has cooperated, and there haven't been any heavy rains since the Zaka fire, and that's a stark contrast from what the reservoir looked like 6 years after the Coyote fire in 1969. Here's what Gibraltar looked like then. The heavy rains of El Nino devastated the capacity of Gibraltar.
Because of that, we lost 50% of our capacity at that time. And we really have to take advantage and learn from history. And that's why right now we're working on projects to prevent the debris from getting into Gibraltar, and if it did, to confine it to an area such that we would be able to preserve what capacity we do have left in the lake.
A great thing to ask for is just a light disbursement of rain over the next few years, as opposed to the heavy torrential downpours that we're prone to getting.
Back to our flight, we visit Bell Canyon, where the Zaka fire started. We also flew above Zaka Lake.
If you look to the Sierra Madre Ridge, you'll see where the fire burned basically in many areas right up to the ridge. We used it as a fuel break, burned back from it, burned down from it. It proved to be a great fuel break for us. It kept it from moving further to the north into the Cuyama Valley.
This map shows the Zaka fire's progression day by day, starting on the 5th of July until August 25th.
On those big plume days, the days where Santa Barbara anyway saw the gigantic plumes in the middle of August, where all these large canyons burning, 5 and 8 and 10 and 12,000 acres a day, all coming from this area on our south side here. Rachel, right off to our right wing, that white ledge, that's the hurricane deck.
The hurricane deck provided a natural barrier, preventing the Zaka fire from heading north towards Santa Maria. Moving on to a fire that burned 17 years ago, this area is known as Painted Cave.
If you look down from the community to the highway, you see the point where the Painted Cave fire did start, pushed by 70-plus mile-an-hour winds straight downhill, and it made it across the highway in really less than half an hour. The fire that's going to hurt us is the fire that starts in a hurry and sneaks up on us. That's the one we need to be prepared for.
Traveling even further back in time, we got a look at Sycamore Canyon, an area that was devastated by wildfire 30 years ago. Looking down at Sycamore Canyon, we realize the importance of defensible space around homes. We're told that the reason the fire destroyed so many homes was because many people were living in the hills with wood-shingled roofs. Back on the ground with a new understanding of the vastness of land and wildfire history in Santa Barbara County, we caught up with our flight crew about how a flight like this really puts wildfire impacts into perspective.
It just enforces with us how combustible our county is and how lucky we are that we don't have more of these gigantic fires, because we certainly have the potential for them, and we've been really lucky, and that's why we keep being aggressive in our promotion and getting out to the public the message of defensible space.
Santa Barbarans must now take it all into perspective and be prepared for the worst-case wildland fire scenario. And we'd like to thank Santa Barbara County Sheriff's Aero Squadron for that flight, especially our pilot, Larry Cochran. Now, City TV is currently working on a documentary on local wildland fire history. Tune into City TV for all the details. Well, earlier in the show, I mentioned the lights on this tree. If you are a residential customer of Southern California Edison, you can exchange your old holiday lights for LED lights. LED stands for light emitting diode. These kind of lights produce almost no heat and can last up to 10 times longer than traditional lights. And this is only one example of the city's efforts to become more sustainable. Recently, a local energy ordinance was forwarded to the California Energy Commission. And Channel 18's Dominique Blocker shows us that when it comes to being green, the city is leading the way.
When it comes to energy efficiency, few cities in California can hold a candle to Santa Barbara. By introducing one of the most energy-stingy building codes in the state, the city is making great strides in fulfilling its goal of being carbon neutral by 2030. That means every building constructed will produce all the energy it uses. City Council recently voted to forward the new ordinance to the California Energy Commission. Once approved, it would increase energy efficiency requirements for new buildings and improvements in the city by up to 20%. The wheels were put in motion in the fall of 2006 when renowned architect Ed Masria gave a presentation at the Marjorie Luke Theater on the huge impact buildings have on the environment. The city went to work with the Community Environmental Council, local architects, contractors, and engineers.
Everybody was very much in favor of pursuing something, an ordinance, if you will, that we can implement relatively easy, efficiently, and most importantly cost-effectively, that would reduce carbon gas emissions.
Since buildings use about 50% of all energy that's consumed in the United States on an annual basis, that means that they're contributing 50% of the global warming greenhouse gases. So as a builder, hearing that, we see it as a real opportunity for the building community to make a significant difference in reducing global warming.
The state of California currently has the Title 24 energy regulations, which are probably some of the most stringent energy regulations in the nation. The Architecture 2030 ordinance has an overlay on top of that. For example, residential construction would be required to be 20% more efficient than current Title 24 regulations. For commercial buildings, it would be 10% more energy efficient.
And energy efficiency is a good investment.
Many of the homes in Santa Barbara were built 50 years ago, even 100 years ago, when energy issues were not as significant. And many of the homes were built without insulation. They have very poor windows. It's like you turn on your heater and it's like having a hole in your wall. All the heat is leaving your home. And by putting in better insulation, by putting in better windows, looking at their heating system and how efficient that it is, by doing all those things, a homeowner can actually improve the overall comfort of their home. And at the same time, they can bring down their energy bills.
And recent studies show that the upfront cost of a more efficient building is nominal. One study, done by the Ventura County Regional Energy Authority, shows the cost to make a $350,000 new home 67% more efficient than current standards is only $10,400, or only 3% of the total cost. To find out how you can conserve energy in your home or office, you can hire an energy consultant for a small fee and they will do a full inspection of your energy usage. You can also download the California Energy Commission's PV calculator, which helps figure out your energy savings if you were to install solar panels. Another convenient way to test your home's energy usage and get tips on how to improve its efficiency is to take the Home Energy Survey at SCE.com. An added bonus to answering the 15-minute questionnaire is that you'll receive a free low-flow shower head, 2 faucet aerators, and a compact fluorescent light bulb so you can get your energy conservation started. So if this new ordinance is approved and you're about to build or remodel in the city of Santa Barbara, you can take pride in the fact that your structure will be one of the most efficient around. It will lower the amount of greenhouse gas emissions in the atmosphere and increase the amount of green in your wallet.
For more information on the Architecture 2030 ordinance and ways to make your home more energy efficient, go to the city's website at santabarbaraca.gov and click on the Sustainable Santa Barbara link. Well, the holidays are here and you're probably busy decorating your tree, putting up your lights, or making travel plans. If you plan to visit family or friends in San Diego or Sacramento, you'll want to watch our next story. The Santa Barbara Airport has just added a new airline. This airline is offering non-stop flights to both these locations, and it's here just in time for the holidays. The Santa Barbara Airport has a tradition of christening the inaugural flight of an airline. So when the airline that has been named twice as most admired by Fortune magazine was added to the airport services, the airline received a proper welcome. ExpressJet Airlines has been in business for over 20 years. You may not recognize its name, but you are probably familiar with the airlines it flew under, Delta and Continental. Now, ExpressJet is flying solo, and to the benefit of Santa Barbarans. Say goodbye to long, stressful trips in your car and sitting in traffic on some of the busiest freeways in the world. Courtesy of ExpressJet, you can now fly from Santa Barbara non-stop to Sacramento or San Diego. In November, an ExpressJet one-way ticket to either city costs $69 or $138 round trip. With the average cost of gas at $3.40 a gallon, on a cost basis alone, the numbers are competitive. For most travelers, it's about more than just the money. Some say a flight like this is the perfect gift during the holidays for any kind of traveler.
We do want to support every grandmother going to visit a friend and a family, a student going home for the weekend, and without the congestion of connecting through a hub of what they're used to doing.
According to airport officials, ExpressJet's arrival to the Santa Barbara airport is the answer to a common question from passengers.
When are we going to get Sacramento service? So I think that ExpressJet will do very well. And considering all the traffic congestion going down to San Diego, I have a feeling that San Diego routes will do very well as well.
The plane trip from Santa Barbara to Sacramento or San Diego is only about an hour long. ExpressJet officials say not only is it a convenient flight, but a comfortable one for passengers. This aircraft is configured with no middle seat, meaning each passenger gets an aisle seat, a window seat, or both.
I think the configuration of the interior of the aircraft and the services that they offer, that people will really enjoy that.
We've got free XM radio. We also offer complimentary snacks on board these aircraft, a buck of beer, $3 wine, and comfortable seats.
Beside all the onboard comforts, ExpressJet's fleet of 50-seat Embraer aircraft is quiet and fuel efficient. By traveling on a short and convenient flight, your stress-free holiday plans may start to take off. To book your ticket, go to our website, citytv18.com, and we'll link you to ExpressJet. Well, recently, a tour of a successful organization that helps gang-involved men and women in Los Angeles served as an inspiration for local youth service providers. Channel 18's Dominique Blocker went on the tour to LA and brought the story back home.
It's the whole village that raises anybody, so, everybody has to step up to the plate.
Recently, on a cloudy fall morning, nearly 30 members of Santa Barbara's Youth Services community came together to see how Father Greg Boyle's philosophy works in real life. They traveled to Los Angeles' east side to tour the new home of Homeboy Industries.
To see them in their new facility, their 21,000 square foot facility, and to know that they started in someone's house, it was very powerful to see how perseverance over the last 20 years has served them well.
Father Boyle, or G as he is known, started Homeboy nearly 20 years ago to help at-risk and gang-involved youth find jobs. It has grown into an enterprise that has created 6 businesses and serves over 1,000 young men and women each month. Homeboy provides training, work experience, and proof that rival gang members can work side by side peacefully. Many at Homeboy thank Father Boyle for giving them the chance they needed to change their lives.
I went to many job interviews, and a lot of them turned me down because of my appearance and my history. So when I was referred here, I was blessed because here I fit in. I don't have to put a front on, and we're all on the same level here. We're all from the same background.
The field trip was organized by the County Probation Department as a way to give Santa Barbarans who work with youth a first-hand look at one of the rare success stories in dealing with gangs.
There was huge teamwork. They all knew what they were going to do, and they were polite and friendly as we walked through there. They knew why they were there. They looked like they appreciated their job, and I thought that was big.
Taking anyone who walks through their doors willing to make a change, Homeboy Industries has become the family most workers never had.
We all love each other no matter what. There's even enemies here that are my enemies that work here with me, but we get along, We love each other unconditionally,
And that mindset doesn't change when they leave each day. Homeboy offers more than just a job. It provides the tools needed for participants to change their lives completely. From counseling and transitional help for those coming from detention facilities to free tattoo removal, the dedicated Homeboy staff addresses the client's multi-level needs.
People that see the tattoos, that, they'll be able to really see me, for me, instead of having to already stereotype or profile who I am.
I don't want to give the wrong impression that, you show up through the doors and something takes place between you entering the doors, from the street to inside the building, and then now you're rehabilitated. And it's not that kind of a thing here. The thing is that people have never gotten up and had anywhere to be at 9 o'clock in the morning. So you have guys here that have made the commitment to even being here at 9 a.m. is a huge step in their life. And you start with small steps to take larger strides.
Larger strides that those from Santa Barbara found hopeful.
Everybody was just blown away by the humility and honesty of the tour guides we had. People felt inspired. They felt like they had something to take back to Santa Barbara with them.
I think the guys we talked to, the former gang members, spoke from the heart. And I think it made an impact on all of us that went there. That really, really got me thinking a lot more. We can change lives here.
How do we reach out? But attendees also noted that cloning another Homeboy enterprise in Santa Barbara is not the quick fix to all of the city's gang problems.
We seem to want a microwave solution to a crockpot problem. We have to be patient. We need to do the same things they did in their beginnings. We need to contact the youth and find out what it is that they need help with, not fix them. If we just put Band-Aids on gunshot wounds, then we're not going to stop the gunshots.
But what I think that we can do is to take parts of what they do. For example, one is key for Homeboy is jobs, that we can help to provide employment for young people. The other thing that I think that we can tweak here in the city of Santa Barbara that Homeboys has is the relationship that's built with young people. And that is what a lot of young people are missing.
We've got to care about them, and we have to have the heart and persistence to stick with them and with the programs.
There's hope. I think that that's the one thing that people end up losing, is that they think there's no hope, that there's never a chance, that nothing's going to happen. That young people in South Central Los Angeles and other areas that have more extensive youth violence can come out of it, then I think that Santa Barbara can actually come out of some of the issues that we have been faced with the last couple of months.
Today, I realized that I have a choice, whether to do good or bad, and I choose to do good.
A choice that hopefully many youth in Santa Barbara will make as well.
For more information on local youth organizations or Homeboy Industries, go to our website, citytv18.com. Well, every Halloween or Christmas, you may visit the Earl Warren Showgrounds for its pumpkin patch or Christmas tree lot, or you may have enjoyed the Santa Barbara Fair and Expo there. If you're an equestrian, you may use the Earl Warren Showgrounds for practice or even competition. Well, as City TV's Van Chu explains, upgrades to the facility may help the showgrounds continue to benefit the community.
Yeah, she likes lenses.
If you're into gems, orchids, dogs, carnivals, or horses, you're no doubt familiar with the Earl Warren Showgrounds. Since 1958, the Showgrounds has been the place for hundreds of exhibitions and fun-filled activities. But in the beginning, the Showgrounds were built on a long Santa Barbara tradition. Even before the Fiesta Rodeo and Old Spanish days that first began in 1924, Santa Barbara celebrated the horse with the annual Santa Barbara National Horse Show. That's why the Earl Warren Showgrounds opened its doors uniquely designed as an equestrian facility.
It's become the hub of where the community goes for equestrian activities, horse shows, rodeos, those types of things. In addition, we do a lot of different community service things. We do a lot of training for police, fire, and emergency crews here. We do staging for the big fires like the Zaka fire.
But like an old saddle that's seen one too many rodeos, the showgrounds is in need of some polish.
That would make 2008 the 50th year anniversary of the Earl Run Showgrounds. And at 50 years of age, almost everybody needs some type of renovation. We are totally self-funded here. In other words, all of the horse shows, all of the different shows and events that we put on here are the ways that we use to generate the revenue that we use to operate the showgrounds. And so we feel like this investment will come back to us, help keep the showgrounds open, and keep it available for the community service activities that we do as well.
Now, community members have formed the Earl Warren Showgrounds Foundation to round up support and make the landmark a world-class equestrian facility once again.
Our goal is to attract more and larger horse shows to the showgrounds. And to do that, you really need to have rings that are state-of-the-art. That meaning that they have good footing so that the horses can safely compete, and also good drainage so that if we have foul weather, we can also go on with the horse shows.
There's 3 phases, and the first phase is going to be to take the El Camino Arena and lengthen it, because right now it's too short, and then they're going to lower it down to the asphalt level. Then they're going to add a bigger warm-up arena, and they're going to add a 4th arena, all brand new, that isn't on the property at this time.
World-class horse shows attract top-notch horses like Champ here, and that means more business for Santa Barbara. For every horse that comes to the showgrounds, 3 to 5 people come along.
Hotel rooms, restaurants, all of those things. Those people come here as tourists and leave a lot of money in the community. So it's really a boon to the local economy every time we have a horse show.
We congratulate our winner number 130, Rock the Band.
Horse shows attract enthusiasts of all ages. 12-year-old Brittany Martindale is already an experienced equestrian, having held the reins since she was 6.
And we have the Lux, only shown by Miss Brittany Martindale of Santa Barbara.
I love just like spending time with my horse, and it's so nice to get away from everything. It's really peaceful, and then when you go over the jumps, you feel like you're flying. It's so much fun. There's some bad moments and a lot of really good moments, so good learning experience.
Brittany and her horse Lux are part of this long Santa Barbara equestrian tradition, and the Earl Warren Showgrounds has been important in keeping that tradition alive.
We love coming to a showground right in town, and if we didn't have one here, it would just be not the same.
For more information on how you can help restore the Earl Warren Showgrounds, go to ewsfoundation.org. Well, remember, one of the best choices you can make to help protect the environment is to become more energy efficient. And you can start by exchanging your old holiday lights for LED lights like the ones on this tree. And you can make that exchange at various locations through December 21st. You can find those locations at southcoastenergywise.org. Well, that does it for this month's episode of Inside Santa Barbara. Next month, we'll take you somewhere new and tell you about the current projects and events happening inside Santa Barbara. If you live outside the area or you don't have access to a TV, you can still watch our show online at citytv18.com. If you have any questions or comments about our show, give us a call at City TV at 564-5311. I'm your host, Rachel Senes, and remember to get involved inside Santa Barbara. Hi, I'm Rachel Senes with City TV, and welcome to Inside Santa Barbara, the news magazine that takes you inside the city's most important issues, projects, and events. Today we are coming to you from inside City Hall, and as many city employees know, putting up this Christmas tree here is an annual tradition. Later on in the show, I'll tell you how using lights like these can help save money on your electricity bill. But first, our top story. This year, Santa Barbara County was struck by the second largest wildland fire in California history, also known as the Zaca Fire. But before that, there were many other fires like Sycamore Canyon and Painted Cave. It's hard to get a good perspective of the paths of past fires, so we took a tour of local burned areas from an airplane. And what we learned from the air put into perspective life on the ground. This summer, the Zaca Fire burned over 240,000 acres as it swept through the Los Padres National Forest. In 1977, the Sycamore Canyon Fire burned 805 acres and destroyed 195 homes. In 1990, the Painted Cave Fire burned 4,900 acres, destroyed 479 homes, and killed 1 person. By going back in history, we learn that Santa Barbara is not immune to disasters like wildfires. But simply flipping the pages of a history book may not be enough to get a good grasp of how we are at risk for wildfires. We're about to take a flight over the South County to get a good perspective on local fire conditions and concerns, and to get a closer look at the paths of past fires, including the perimeter of the Zaca Fire.
Fire Patrol 21, runway 15 right, clear for takeoff.
Lifting off from Atlantic Aviation at the Santa Barbara Municipal Airport, we start our tour of the burned areas, with help from Santa Barbara County Fire Department's Eli Iskow. Our first visit is to an area about 2 miles northeast of Lompoc.
Right below the wing now, that's Sabata Canyon.
The concern here in Sabata Canyon, there's only one road in and one road out.
There's about a little less than 100 homes, and the issue here is if a fire would start, they'd be hard put to get out in a hurry.
Leaving Sabata, we fly northeast to another isolated canyon community called Tepesque Canyon near Santa Maria. Like Sabata, this area only has one way in and one way out.
The threat is a wind-driven, a fuels-driven, or a terrain-driven fire. We're not going to be there in time for a serious fire. There's just no way. So these people in particular, not much different than Mission Canyon on the front country, have to be as prepared as they can be because they may be on their own for a while.
Our third visit on the Wildland Fire Tour to the southeast to Cuyama Peak, an area affected by a wildfire in 2006.
We've got the town of Cuyama. We're also over the Perkins Scar Fire that came up from the Cuyama Valley.
Fortunately, the Perkins Fire burned south through Chaparral, away from that small town of New Cuyama. From the air, we noticed the dark areas that have burned, but we also saw new growth.
A lot of it was a very healthy, what we call mosaic burn. Leaving some of the green allows the vegetation to grow back much more effectively. It also helps the wildlife that's there find points of refuge and some food sources still.
Heading southwest, we see Gibraltar Dam, which was affected by the recent Zaca Fire as well.
The area here, all this watershed here drains that way. That could silt out Lake Cachuma if we get a heavy runoff. And Gibraltar certainly also could silt up pretty good.
The City of Santa Barbara's water system manager, Kathy Taylor, says that siltation, debris flow, and water quality have all been a concern after the Zaca Fire.
Well, Gibraltar has a watershed of approximately 220 square miles. And with the Zaca Fire, it is estimated 119 square miles, or 60% of the watershed, was burned.